Thank you. Thank you for that really warm introduction, Nathan. In fact, before we came on here, we were trading stories from the early Wired days when he was at Vivid, and we were at South of Market, and it's getting to be now 20 years ago, which is getting to be a little too long. But it's been a long story here. Now, it's great to be with you guys here. It's a conversation with folks that are all about innovation, folks that you don't have to explain to them kind of the big challenges that are going on in this society. Often I'm outside the Bay Area doing talks around the country, and occasionally outside the country, and you got to start with the basics of climate change, or you have to start with the basics of the digital revolution and things like that. So I'm going to really be talking on a much higher plane with you folks so we can get to some really interesting parts of the conversation, I think. So what I'm going to do today, you see here this reconstructed Statue of Liberty, is I'm going to be talking about this concept of reinvention. You talk about your innovation space. I think of it as reinvention, or the space I'm really interested in is reinvention. Really fundamental system change. How do you take systems that were designed and worked in the 20th century and move them into the 21st? And that's something that I think this country is poised to be explosion of innovation around this, I think, in the next 10, 20 years. And I'm going to make that case for you here. So when we're talking about innovation like that, a reinvention like that, you have to start with a little bit of a context that here we are in the election season. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the context of what's really going on in this election, I would say, without getting too partisan or too kind of into the politics of it. I want to frame it as in regards of how it fits into this larger reinvention of the country. And then I'm going to talk about reinvention in more historical context, how it's happened in this country and how I expect it's going to happen in the next 10, 20 years. And then I'm going to do, this is the third thing, since you're MBA students, you folks are all interested in businesses, I'm going to talk about my latest business, which is called Reinventors. Comes right out of this reinvention idea. And it's actually a new startup. We just got incorporated. We literally just got the paperwork back from the state of California, incorporated today. Or over the weekend. I got it Saturday. And so it's about as new as you can get here. We just got some investment from the Valley, and I'll talk about that in relation to this all today too. So we got a nice setup here for talking, and let's start into it here. Now, one of the things I'm going to do, and I always do when I do these talks, when I think about, I like to just get out of the day-to-day, the kind of timing here. You know, we're kind of so used to this kind of tweet time. Everything's moving so fast, bing, 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 bing. We occasionally get a little time, maybe we step back into kind of a weekly kind of rhythm of news and what's happening, take a little breather on the weekends once in a while. Then when I talk to a lot of businesses, they at least take a breather, put their heads out of the weeds a little bit once every 3 months or so. Occasionally with elections now, we get a little, this is what passes for long-term thinking in terms of our country is, hey, let's take 4 years and take a look around what happened in 4 years, what's going to happen potentially in the next 4. But this talk is going to be talking at a different wavelength. We're going to be talking at kind of almost national history, a different, longer wave thing, and even at the level of world history. And I don't want to be too hyperbolic here, but I think we're really living in a time of really world historical significance and certainly national significance. And I'm going to get the kind of just that coming up here.